The moon hung low over Silver Pine Valley, painting the forest in silver and shadow. Tonight was the choosing, the night every wolf in the pack had waited for, when the Alpha King would claim a mate for the blood moon. My sister, Leora, had trained her whole life for this moment. She would step forward, bow gracefully, and become the Alpha's chosen. That was the plan. That was supposed to be my role too, to stand behind her, proud, supportive, invisible. But the Alpha King didn't even glance at her. I froze as his amber eyes locked onto mine, burning into my soul like molten fire. Whispers of disbelief rippled through the council. My sister's gasp barely registered over the pounding of my own heart. And then, with a predatory step forward, he crossed the space between us and growled, a sound so low, so possessive, it vibrated in my chest. She is mine. The words weren't a mistake, or a question, or a choice for the pack, they were a claim. My world narrowed to him, his presence, his dominance, and something primal inside me awakened. In that single moment, everything I thought I knew about loyalty, love, and survival shattered. The Alpha King hadn't come for my sister, he had come for me. The moon hung low over the Silver Pine Valley, its silvery light spilling across the jagged cliffs and the dense, whispering forest below. Wolves howled in the distance, echoing like the soundtrack to some ancient, unbroken ritual. Tonight was the night of the choosing, the night when the Alpha King would claim a mate for the upcoming blood moon, a union meant to strengthen the pack's future. I stood in the shadow of the grand stone amphitheater, my heart hammering like a drum. My sister, Leora, had been the one chosen to present herself before the Alpha King. She had trained for this her entire life, a golden-haired vision in a silver gown that shimmered like frost. And I was supposed to stand behind her, a proud sister, my hands shaking but my smile fixed. The council murmured, a collective hum of anticipation. My skin prickled as the Alpha King stepped into the light, a silhouette carved from moonlight and muscle. His presence was magnetic, terrifying, and yet somehow painfully intimate. His amber eyes scanned the gathered pack, burning with a heat that made my knees weak. Leora took a step forward. Her gown swished against the stone floor as she offered a polite, almost trembling bow. "Alpha King," she said softly. "I am honored to." But he didn't look at her. A cold ripple ran down my spine as his gaze locked onto me. Not my sister, not the one standing in the ceremonial light, but me. He moved forward, each step deliberate, a predator closing in on prey. The air thickened with tension. My pulse raced so loudly I feared he could hear it. The whispers from the council became hushed, uncertain. When he stopped before me, I couldn't breathe. His amber eyes darkened like molten gold, glowing faintly in the moonlight. Then, his voice, a low, guttural growl that seemed to shake the stone beneath my feet, cut through the silence. "She is mine." The words weren't addressed to the council. They weren't a polite claim or a diplomatic statement. They were raw, possessive, undeniable. Every hair on my body stood on end. My sister's gasp barely reached me over the roaring in my ears. I stumbled backward, half in shock, half in disbelief. The Alpha King didn't even glance at Leora again. The ceremonial space seemed to shrink, the crowd's murmurs turning into gasps, whispers of outrage and confusion. "Yours?" I whispered, more to myself than to anyone else. "But he leaned closer, his warm breath brushing my ear, and growled again, a sound that was part warning, part claim. "I've watched you from the shadows, little wolf. I've waited for you, not her." My chest tightened. My sister's horrified eyes met mine. My friend's hands reached for me, but I was rooted to the spot, caught between fear and something I didn't dare name. The moonlight bathed him in silver and gold, every line of his body a dangerous masterpiece. And I, trembling, heart pounding, skin alive with electricity, realized that my life had just changed forever. Somewhere deep in the crowd, a wolf howled, sharp and warning, but I barely heard it. My world had narrowed to his gaze, his presence, his claim. And for the first time in my 18 years, I understood the truth of the pack's oldest law: once an alpha chooses, nothing else matters. The council's murmurs swirled around me like a storm, but I barely noticed. Every fiber of my being was focused on him, the Alpha King who had just claimed me with a single, irrevocable growl. He didn't wait for consent or explanation, or the protests of my sister. Instead, he stepped closer, his presence suffocatingly strong, and seized my hand. His grip was iron, yet surprisingly warm. I wanted to pull away, and yet my body refused. "You belong to me now," he said, his voice low and commanding, each word vibrating through my chest. I stumbled, heart hammering, as he guided me through the crowd. Faces blurred. Whispers of disbelief and shock floated past me. My sister's voice cracked somewhere behind me. "You can't. She's mine." But he ignored her. Nothing mattered but the claim he had made, the possession he had announced. The Alpha King's amber eyes never left mine. Every step we took was a statement of dominance. Every movement calculated, deliberate, a predator leading its mate into his den. The path led into the woods behind the amphitheater, shadows stretching like claws. The air smelled of earth, pine, and something primal, danger wrapped in power. My pulse raced so fast I feared it would betray me completely. "You're trembling," he murmured, his nose brushing my ear. "Not with fear, with recognition. You feel it too, don't you?" I swallowed hard, unable to form words, and yes, I felt it. That raw pull, that magnetic tension that made my skin itch and my heart ache. Something ancient and wild thrummed between us. He stopped in a clearing, moonlight spilling across the dewy grass, painting his features in silver and gold. Then, with one fluid motion, he shifted. Muscles rippling beneath dark fur, claws glinting faintly in the moonlight, he towered over me, not as a man, but as a wolf, majestic and terrifying, every bit the Alpha King the legend spoke of. "You are mine," he growled again, this time in wolf's voice, a sound so primal it resonated deep in my chest. "No other will touch you. No council, no sister, no pack member. You belong to me?" My breath caught. My knees threatened to buckle, and yet part of me, the part I didn't dare acknowledge, was drawn to him. The pull was magnetic, irresistible, terrifying. Before I could react, he shifted back into human form, his gaze softening ever so slightly. But the heat, the intensity, the undeniable power still radiated from him. I can't," I whispered, barely audible. This isn't supposed to happen." His hand cupped my cheek, thumb brushing against my trembling skin. "The pack doesn't choose who the Alpha desires. And neither do you," he said, voice a dangerous mixture of promise and warning. "I've waited for you longer than you know." The forest around us was alive with the cries of wolves, a symphony of the wild. But for me, the world had narrowed down to his amber eyes, his possessive aura, the undeniable fact that my life had shifted in a single, fateful moment. I was caught between fear and desire, confusion and the strange thrill of knowing I was marked. And deep down, somewhere buried beneath layers of instinct and survival, I knew this was only the beginning. He leaned closer, just enough for our foreheads to touch. His breath was warm, scented with pine and something feral, intoxicating. "Tonight, you stay with me," he whispered. "Tonight, you learn what it means to be mine." And I knew, with a sinking, thrilling certainty, that there was no turning back. The den was carved into the mountainside, hidden by a veil of ivy and shadow, a place the council dared not enter. Torches flickered along the stone walls, casting long, dancing shadows that seemed to move with a life of their own. The air was warm, heavy with the scent of pine, smoke, and something far more primal, him. I followed him in silence, my heart pounding like a war drum. My fingers brushed against the cold stone, grounding me, but it did little to calm the storm raging inside. Every instinct screamed to flee, to run back to the safety of my sister, my friends, my pack, but every muscle in my body was rooted to him, drawn to his presence like a moth to flame. He stopped in the center of the den, towering over me, the shadows highlighting every line of his chiseled form. His amber eyes glinted, fierce and protective, and yet there was something darker lurking beneath: possession, hunger, desire. "You will stay here," he commanded, his voice low and velvet smooth, yet carrying the weight of iron. "No one touches you. No one speaks to you without my permission. You are mine and only mine." I swallowed hard, my throat dry. I don't even know you," I whispered, my voice trembling despite my attempt at courage. His lips curled into the faintest smirk, almost predatory. "That will change." He stepped closer, the heat radiating from him brushing against my skin, igniting a fire I couldn't put out. I wanted to step back, and yet I couldn't. The pull was magnetic, undeniable, primal. "Why me?" I asked, barely above a whisper. Why not her? My sister? Because she's not you, he interrupted, his voice hard but not unkind. I've watched you, known you from the shadows. You are stronger, fiercer, more alive than anyone in this pack, and I need you, only you. My chest tightened. I wanted to speak, to argue, to run, but the words caught in my throat. My heart beat so loudly I thought he could hear it, and judging by the way his gaze darkened, he could. Then, without warning, he closed the distance between us, so close I could feel the brush of his breath on my cheek. His hand reached up, lightly tracing the line of my jaw, and the contact sent a shiver down my spine. You feel it too, he murmured, his voice a growl now, thick with something raw, untamed. The pull between us. Don't fight it. It's stronger than fear, stronger than hesitation. It's natural. I wanted to deny it, to scream, to tell him he had no right, but my body betrayed me. My skin tingled, my heart raced, and a heat unlike anything I had ever known pooled in my chest. He leaned closer, and for a moment I thought he might kiss me, but instead he rested his forehead against mine, amber eyes locking with mine. Tonight, he whispered, you begin to learn what it means to be mine. And whether you like it or not, you will survive it, you will thrive. The den was silent except for the pounding of my heart and the low, vibrating growl that emanated from him. Outside, the wolves howled at the moon, a haunting, mournful symphony. Inside, a new tension hung between us, dangerous, intoxicating, undeniable. And in that moment, I realized the truth I had been running from my whole life. Once an alpha claims you, nothing else matters. Not fear, not family, not even your own will. And I, trembling, overwhelmed, and unwilling, already felt the first threads of a bond I could neither escape nor resist. The first hours in his den passed in a blur of strange rules and unspoken dominance. The Alpha King, Cal, did not speak much, yet every word, every glance, every movement commanded obedience. I was no longer a visitor. I was his mate, marked and claimed, whether I accepted it or not. He taught me the ways of the pack quietly, yet with an intensity that made my blood run hot. How to move silently through the forest, how to sense danger before it arrived, how to listen to the subtle shifts in wolf behavior that signaled loyalty or betrayal. Every lesson carried his presence, his touch lingering too long, his amber gaze tracing me with an intensity that made my breath catch. Your strength is in your instincts, he murmured one night, standing close enough that I could feel the warmth of his body through the thin fabric of my tunic. But you need control, discipline. Without it, even the strongest wolf is nothing. I nodded, trying to focus on the lesson, but the heat radiating from him was impossible to ignore. Every word, every movement seemed designed to unsettle me, to draw me closer even as my mind screamed to keep distance. He circled me slowly like a wolf stalking prey. Do you understand what it means to be marked by an alpha? His voice dropped to a growl, low and dangerous, vibrating through me. Yes, I whispered, though my voice betrayed uncertainty. Do you? He pressed, leaning so close that our chests brushed. His eyes burned into mine, stripping away any pretense I had left. You're mine, not just in name, not just in ritual, in body, mind, and soul. Every pack member will know it. Every threat will recognize it, and you will learn to accept it. My stomach twisted. His dominance was overwhelming, intoxicating, and though I wanted to resist, to tell him he had no right, my body, and something deeper, something primal, responded anyway. Cale studied me for a long moment, amber eyes assessing, testing. Then, slowly, he reached out, brushing a strand of hair behind my ear. The contact was electric, tiny sparks crawling across my skin. You fight it, he said softly, almost gently, though the undercurrent of command was still there. I want you to fight it, but understand this: running is useless. Denying me is futile. You feel it, don't lie. I closed my eyes, my chest heaving. The truth was undeniable. Every part of me ached with a pull I didn't fully understand, a desire I had never felt before. And for the first time, I realized that fear and attraction were not opposites in his presence. They were intertwined, indistinguishable. You are mine, he whispered again, leaning so close I could feel his breath on my lips. And if you survive this night, if you endure my training, you will learn to crave it as much as I do. The word sent shivers down my spine. I wanted to pull away, but my body refused. I wanted to scream, but my voice caught. I wanted to deny him, But my instincts, primal, undeniable, barked at me to submit. Outside, the pack's howls rose to the moon, a chorus of wild longing. Inside, I was trapped in a different kind of wilderness, one of desire, dominance, and dangerous intimacy. And I knew with terrifying certainty that nothing in my life would ever be the same again.